Hello, our friends, Evolutionary Energy Arts family.
Hello there, welcome back.
Rama was having a bad dream and he just came out snarling. We didn't want to scare you guys.
I know, he just woke up and roar like that, right? Almost in the microphone. Poor guy was having a nightmare. Or he was just being his dream watchdog. Awesome guy that he is.
He is. So, guys, please do subscribe to all three channels, Evolutionary, the original, Heart's Home, where this is going, and EEARTS as well, where we were talking. Actually, today's felt great. Today's was so much fun. Honestly, over on EEARTS, that's the stuff that we just love to do, which is talking about the mysteries and how everything goes together with everything that's happening. And by the way, in case you haven't ever noticed, you can link to any of the other channels or Patreon or Ko-Fi right over here in this corner. Quick links. So we wanted to talk about, well, it's spring, right? Springtime, spring cleaning for the body, mind, and soul. And also, it's more than that. It's spring cleaning as far as the yugas go. You know, we could look at like we're heading out of the Kali Yuga. We're going into Dwapara, the bronze. We're going from the dark into the bronze. And we got to clean away that which is no longer serving us. Oh, man, I can't wait to clean away a lot of it that we can't quite get to yet because we're still a little bit in the system and we still have some more work to do in the system. But at some point in time, it'll be, hey, 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 sha-na-na-na. What's it go? And then... Yeah, so, do you know that song? Goodbye. There you go.
Yeah, na 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 na. Yeah, like that.
That's what I wanted to say.
Hey, hey, hey.
Goodbye. Yeah, we say that to the control system.
Yes.
Could say that to every single little 3-letter control grid matrix. You know, pick your little favorite and say, bye, guys. Don't let the door kick you in the butt. Yes, absolutely. Because, you know, freedom is coming for humanity. And that freedom lies in letting the spirit fly. And no, things like tax woes and all these things that we go through, at some point in time, that's going to all just be, a bad dream in the rearview mirror.
It is. And there's a time in our life, and I feel we all go through these times, and you can probably recognize them by looking back better. You know, when we really, truly clean house in so many ways, and we go through the information that we have in our life, and maybe even certain relationships that we have that are really no longer serving us, and we go ahead and we allow those to be released. We let them go, and that can free us up for different things. And when I was going through my spiritual awakening, I went through something that I felt was kind of strange, where I needed to get rid of stuff. I had to get rid of it. I couldn't look at it anymore. Didn't want it. I know, so I'm like giving away, I'm throwing away. And it was so strange because with each box or each bag, I was gifted clarity. So it's like it was a trade. It felt so good. And I feel like I'm coming up on that again in my life, where I'm ready to gift other people, throw away, give away. If it's not usable, let it go, because you definitely get gifted back your freedom. And with freedom, you can soar.
Absolutely. And so by shedding that which no longer serves us in all different ways, we can really, truly free ourselves up. There is that saying, cleanliness is next to godliness, yeah. Right? There is truth to that. And we've been coming to realize a lot of different things where there's this hidden truth that you might not realize. And it's true. If we do clean things up and get rid of all this baggage, it can be so freeing. I lived in a house for 17 years. That was the longest I've ever lived in one spot. 17 years in one spot. And my next move will be my 40th in my life. 40th, right? And so I've done a lot of moving, especially when you take 17 years in one spot and you take that away from my age. Wow, yeah, I've been on the road a lot, and that's just been my path in this life. But yet, what it's done is I've gotten rid of more and more things. And it's a good thing, too, because if I sit too long in one spot, sometimes I have a tendency to accumulate things as I look up at the wall. And I do. I can accumulate things. I would not say that I'm materialistic. But, yeah, where you got a little passion, you can accumulate things. I mean, I have, about 60, 70 different spices, and that's because I do like to cook and I do like to explore with different ethnic cuisines and try to duplicate them as much as possible. So, like having the right spice to cook a Thai dish, or, something for Indian food, or French. Of course, we need tarragon. You gotta have tarragon. You have to have lavender. We have to have some savory. We have to have some marjoram. It's those type of things. I really do believe that we can take. Well, part of that's the planning for the future with rice and beans and all your staples to get you through, because obviously we are in for a challenging time. So, tonight's rice and beans Italian night, and tomorrow's rice and beans French night, and the next, in a worst case scenario. But getting back to the whole concept of spring cleaning, you got to keep them organized. You got to rotate out things that are going to, be stale, just like if you're doing your prepping. Be a store. What do? Well, you front the stuff that's going to expire, and you put the new stock in the back. And that's what we should be doing when we're prepping. And that's what we should be doing in so many different ways. Again, the stuff that we don't really need, and this is going back to that original concept. When we sold the house that we were in for 17 years, we ordered a big dumpster bin, and we ended up filling it up right away. And we had 1,000 square foot house. I mean, we lived in 1,000 square feet with 2 kids and 5 dogs, and we still filled it up, and it had to be taken away, and we filled it up a second time, like a 20-foot dumpster. And we don't realize often how much stuff we accumulate in our lives, and you know what, it really does drag you down in more ways than one. You ever think about, where did I put this thing? And you go looking in different drawers, and you have more than one junk drawer. And it's like, why don't you throw out those rubber bands? Why don't you throw out whatever it is that, I might have a use for this later. Some people are hoarders. And Cindy lived with, her previous partner, was a master monster hoarder. And so she can relate to this big time.
Yeah, it makes it really difficult for you to be on your spiritual journey if you're with someone who is just like a lead weight. And unfortunately, sometimes those are the relationships when you are going through life, when you feel like you've had enough and that no longer serves you, and it can no longer do anything for you. In fact, it might be pulling you down. Sometimes you got to cut that rope, and you have to say goodbye, and you might have to say goodbye to a lot of things. And I think that's the scary part about soul alignment, healing. It's the scary part that you might actually have to let something go, but you're still afraid. What if you still need that thing? But you will come to a time and a point where it's okay. It's okay, and you're going to know that it's okay. So you go ahead and snip the rope. And while we're doing that, it's a good idea to literally look through your stuff and throw, if it's 20 things, find 20 things, throw them away, start cleaning up your area. Very important for the mind and the soul to be cleansed and clear. Now, Mike and I, we're not perfect. We're definitely far from it. We have, stuff here and stuff there, but we do understand the value of just utilizing that which you need. And when we're talking about cleanliness is next to godliness, in a witchy kind of way, witches with their broom, they literally are sweeping out the little devils and the little demons that have made their homes in the dusty corners all over in your room. And little entities can stick around in those dusty, dirty corners, and they can just make their home there. And that's one of the reasons for spring cleaning, now handed down to you guys. Now you guys also know a few extra things about spring cleaning. It's not just about the 3D, although if you do take care of business in the 3D, it goes to spiritual.
Absolutely. You know, and before I go on to this thought that is in my mind, I just wanted to touch on what Cindy was just talking about, because what we have received from the guides as far as information, when we talk about things like bugs, really, yes, there are natural bugs that were part of the original matrix plan for this realm, the 3D realm that we're in. But many are actually parasitic that were brought here by the system and by the controllers themselves. So when you're looking at ticks, ticks were not originally part of this plan. When you look at virus, what is a virus? Again, a virus is neither alive or dead. The virus is absolutely not part of the original plan of this matrix. It is something that is part of that control system. When you look to these particular great guides, gurus, and teachers, and here you see a depiction of Babaji, and you see Yogananda, Sri Yukteswar, his master, Sri Yukteswar's master, Lahiri over there, and you see Babaji and Yeshua, and depiction of Vishnu. Again, we could look at Krishna. I mean, these great masters, did they own much? No. And that's why they were in some ways able to attain such heights, because their focus wasn't on the material. It was on completely the spiritual end of things. Yogananda did do a lot of traveling over into the West, did establish great schools and all. There's still schools in LA to learn some of his knowledge that he imparted on us, Kriya Yoga. But again, the point is, so many of these people that are devoted completely to a spiritual lifestyle, they lead a minimalistic life. We could look again over to the Amish, and when we look at the Amish, they do have things, but it's not their lifestyle. And, they live a very, very simple life, more in touch with the land, I believe, than most of us typically. And we could also, again, look to the tribes in the Amazon rainforest, look to the tribes down in Africa, look to the people over in Australia, the Aborigine people that they still have their verbal history that they've passed on that goes back 50, 75,000 years. I mean, it goes back a long time. They have a lot of tradition. They're very in touch with the earth, and yet they don't have a lot of belongings on purpose. And it's the whole concept, again, of ownership of the land that in many ways it allows us to fall into the trap, the materialistic trap. Now, this is not all about, okay, well, get rid of all your belongings and follow me, like Yeshua to the rich man's son, and he didn't want to hear that because he had a lot. But at the same time, the more we're willing to let go of everything that entraps us in the system, I think the less issues we're going to have moving forward when we might be faced with some critical decisions. Now, that could be a fire, a flood, it could be an earthquake, it could be war knocking on our door. And all of a sudden you got to go, and it's one of those things where if where do I start? I got to grab this, I got to grab that. No, we can't go. No. What's really important to you? And there is so much peace and freedom in letting go of things. And, honestly, I have a passion for guitar, and I haven't been able to practice consistently. And this passion's only been around really for like 12 years now. It was a latter life type of thing where it's like, well, I never tried to learn anything musically. Why don't I try that as kind of a bucket list thing? And it's turned to be a lot more than a bucket list thing as I've learned more about myself. I realized that it was actually a huge part of my life. And I thank my beloved partner for helping me uncover all that. And, again, that's a different sideline there as I'm getting too far off topic. But, basically I need to get rid of a couple guitars. I have to sell a couple guitars to make things just easier in the transition to our next level of freedom.
Balance with everything. And it really depends on where you're at. There is no judgment in this. It's just balancing your 3D life with your spiritual life. And we should, kind of take note of that every now and then. And it just feels like now is a good time. Isn't spring just a really great time to get things fresh and new and start living our dreams and doing things so that they can grow into that thing that we want? And it really does start with stuff. It starts with our stuff and the ability to release that stuff. And believe me, that translates into an emotional release where you're able to finally let things go. And it no longer weighs down your soul. It'll no longer be a thing that's of a 3D nature in your house. So when you get rid of that, it translates to the soul. And it couldn't be a better feeling. It's really freeing. And it just feels good. And it might be kind of scary. It's kind of scary to think, well, what am I going to do with this? Well, if you don't truly love it, and if you don't truly need it, and if you really don't have space for it, you can gift it to somebody else. Unless it's broken, you can throw it away. But if you are able to give it away, you're gifting something to someone that otherwise they might not be able to have or afford. So look at it that way. I know a lot of people are afraid to get rid of stuff because they think they might need it later. Well, that list goes on and it'll never stop. It will never stop. You'll always think, I might need it later. But really, how often does that happen? How often do you need it later? It's a fair, honest question to ask yourself. If you use it, 4 times a year, fine, keep it. But if you've looked at it for 4 times a year for the last 10 years and you've never picked it up, maybe it's time to let go. And when you release that, you open your soul up a little bit more to some type of healing and some type of release of trauma.
Yes, absolutely. I couldn't agree more. It's been one of the most freeing things, is becoming a little bit more of a minimalist. And certainly when we were in the 19-foot camper, that was minimal. Yeah. And even now, we graduated into what feels like the lap of luxury in some ways. It's about a 600 and something square foot house. It's 2 rooms. That's what we're in and what we've been in. And honestly, it's all relative. So relative to the camper, this feels great. But then at the same time, sometimes when we go in the camper, it's like I kind of miss it. That cozy snuggliness and the feeling of freedom to be able to move anywhere at any time. There are reasons why some people really enjoy that lifestyle. Of course, some people we see pulling around campers that are bigger than a lot of houses. You can go that route too. But what we're being called to do as humanity that is ascending is to let go of the entrapments of this system. And just let it go. That's one of the things that honestly I've found it has gotten easier in my life as I get older to just let go of things. And even sometimes things that you might just have as mementos. Just letting go of things that could even have some sentimental value in some ways, because people never really leave us. And again, we might not be able to see them. Doesn't mean they can't see and feel what's going on with us and not know when we're missing them. I'll tell you truthfully that if you really reach out to anybody that's passed on and feel that longing and that missing for them, send them love and they will feel it on the other side. They're not encumbered like we are here. They can feel you when you send them your love.
And really, we come into this world a certain way without anything, and that's the way we're going to go too. So we just look around and see what brings us joy. And I don't know, I think for me some of the most important things that I have, it's my shaman tools, that I've been gifted and I've collected, and I appreciate them so much because they help me a lot. We all have our things that really help us grow spiritually. And that's really important. You got to look around and kind of weigh things, like my tuning forks. I help recalibrate people in their life with the tuning forks. So that's something that I love and enjoy. My pups, love and enjoy my pups, love and enjoy my kids. So it's about, maybe make a top 10, what is really valuable to you? And then are you ready to let the rest possibly go?
Yeah, and what can I bless others with?
Yes.
And that's one of the things I've been meaning to do too, because just in case we had a whole bunch of fruit and canned fruit and things like that, which I know we're not going to eat because we're going to always eat live. The can was just in case. So before it goes and expires, we'll bring it and drop it off and give it as a donation. Because we're going to always choose to eat live fruit and veggies as long as they're available. And little things like that with Cindy, one of her prized things is this feather, which that was an eagle, wasn't it?
It's an eagle feather.
It was, yeah, that was an eagle. And I remember that day was in New Mexico. And I remember we were out with Zeke and Sassy, and we crossed this lake, and then we started going back, and this eagle went right in front of us, and it left a feather, and Cindy grabbed it, and it's been one of her prime tools the entire time since.
Oh yes, it's my cleansing feather. So when I am working on you guys, I use that feather and I cleanse everything off of you as we work. And what else makes it so special is Mike's father, who had passed away quite some time ago, always spoke about being able to fly or being the eagle. So it was just really that eagle showed itself, and then boom, there's a feather. And yeah, that's one of my most prized possessions because that's a gift from that creature. And my gosh, when you look at it, it's so perfectly made and it's so beautiful. And I feel like it's also what we do together. It kind of bonds Mike and I. It's his father, and I was able to find the feather, and I feel like it's a bonding thing. So, and it's something of love between the two of us. So when I'm working on you guys, I use that eagle feather, and I really appreciate it. So that's one of the things that if there was a fire, I'd be grabbing that feather for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. And some of our other things are statues of our guides. And, as I look at Bess, because Bess is always staring me right in the face, because he reminds me to have fun and have some levity and, don't always be so serious. And so he wanted to be positioned right next to the computer and staring at me. So it's wonderful because he is a practical jokester and loves to have fun. And again, Bess, Bes, is one of the very most popular Egyptian deities out there. And again, you might not have heard of him, but yeah. He was called on by all sorts of what we would call regular householders, average people, especially for help with midwives and children and things. He was a protective energy, is a protective energy. And, the realization is that Bess is an extraterrestrial from the Orion area. And, again, you might have heard Law 1 in the Orion group, and you might think that, oh, that's all, the dark ones. No, it's just like anything. And even in the darkest depths of the corporate world, you will find some people that are gems. Even in the alphabet soups, you'll find some people that are fighting for light, because, they realize the bigger picture, and they're in the belly of the beast. But they're trying to hold their light, and that's all we can all do. And one way to do that is by, again, getting rid of all the clutter, whatever's holding us back. And it doesn't even have to be physical things. It can be realizations. And I'll tell you, one of the things that holds people back the most is dogma. And once we get to a certain point, we realize, just like the Beatles said, right? All you need is love. That's truly it. That's truly it. And the path back to source is one of love. And in all of its aspects, including obviously compassion. And everything else is just dogma. So if we can just always live that heart-centered life, we're on the path back home.
Mm-hmm. Definitely, find that thing that means so much to you, and hold that in high regard, and look around and see what you're able to release. And like Mike said, that definitely includes belief systems. What are you outgrowing? And it's like, how do you know that though? How do you know if you're outgrowing something? Well, if you start to question it, then you're starting to outgrow it. Your frequency is changing, and you're going to find a different belief and a different understanding. And it's all about that expansion and that growth. It's like you tried this belief system, you wore it for a while, it served its purpose, but it doesn't quite feel right anymore. So you're going to go ahead and move forward.
Absolutely. So I hope you guys got something from this. As always, we want to thank you for your support on Ko-Fi and Patreon. And want to especially thank one of our beloved sisters, Kristen. Kristen, we love you, and we thank you for commenting on every single video and being such a positive, bright light of sunshine upon our lives.
Indeed. Love you, Special K.
As always, guys, God bless and namaste.
Namaste.